Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to the video. Guys, most of you have been asking me why I focus so much on young men, well, generally youths. I do this because in my family, we are 7 children, 6 boys and 1 lady. So I've seen my brothers, and even myself, I've had some of these experiences where I struggle with a few things here or there, be it socially or economically. But more so socially. You see, social aspect of life is very important because it impacts directly on your contribution economically. So that is pretty much why in this platform, now or never, we focus so much on young people. Well, let's get into it. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the video. So this is probably this should be the 3rd episode, what we are shooting now. And what will form the basis of the story today is a story by some ladies I work with. So this morning I'm just held up with a few editing on the videos that we already shot, yet to be uploaded. And it's giving me headache, my friends. So I just overheard some 3 ladies, they are talking about how deadbeat their baby daddies, or some of them who are married, their husbands are deadbeat. And one story in particular caught my attention. One of the ladies was saying how the husband is, the baby daddy is not responsible. He's never held his end of the bargain. He's a loser. He doesn't go to work. And at one point they went to the baby daddy's home, and her sister-in-law was kind enough to remind her that the bed that they were sleeping on is not theirs. So, and then she dropped a bombshell, saying how a few days prior, she spent about 5,000 shillings to buy her kid a bicycle. So that caught my attention, and then I just asked her quickly that whatever you said, how you treat your boy well, how you treat your kid well, you just spend 5,000 on him and whatnot, and yet you're a hustler, you're struggling. What's the gender of the child? And she told me that it's a boy. So I'll leave it there. That is what will form the basis or foundation of our video today. How boys, how this lady would, despite struggling, despite not being well off, she could part with 5,000 shillings to buy her boy a bicycle, and some other favors that whenever the boy squeals or cries, she sits ground and meet or make sure that she buys the boy whatever he wants. So join me later into this conversation. Well, so guys, we pretty much in this platform that is now or never, we talk about self-improvement, more so towards youth and majorly men. See, pertaining to the story I just told you today morning about the ladies who are talking about how deadbeat their baby daddies are, which one of them was telling us how she's bringing up her boy. I was very keen to identify the gender of the kid, because bringing up boys is quite difficult. It's not as easy as well, let me not say as easy as, but it's hard compared to bringing up a lady. they say, like in religion, it's supposed that boys are born with we are born with no morals. So morals have to be instilled in us. In the contrary, ladies are born ready. They are born with morals. They know. They really always aware of what they want in life. No wonder even when they play as kids, that is ladies, baby girls, they tend to be too much towards cooking or nurturing and such like stuff. While boys, on the other hand, are always quite violent, quite destructive, no morals at all. So if you hear ladies, contemporary ladies, or baby mamas, or even mothers, even most mothers now, they are very soft on their boys. And this makes a lot of things become very difficult for these boys once they get to teenage years. The entitlement, if it creeps into a boy's life, they become so they become rudderless. If they know that if they want something, they just have to cry out to their mothers, they become quite rudderless. So that is pretty much the background of our story today. One of the first points here is entitlement. You see, when boys or when children are used to having their way, that becomes a problem to parents. Why? They'll know that anytime they want anything, they'll get it. And boys who are brought up in this way, especially majorly millennials and Gen Z, they have a very big problem with entitlement. Most of them were never disciplined, or through government legislation, they are getting away with a lot of stuff at school and at home. You see, you can't touch them. I remember at one time, my dad, may God rest his soul in peace, tried to discipline some of my cousins. They are ladies. So, you know, teenagers, they are just experimenting and stuff. There's adventures. And then my old man realized and wanted to discipline them. You see, his hands were tied so much that he can't discipline his own children. He had to report them to, or to take them to a police station for them to be disciplined, of which the police officers ended up giving them mattresses to sleep on for the night. So much for discipline. As in, it's just so discouraging. If children can get away with so much that they cannot even listen to their own parents or any adults, it's quite disheartening. So this sense of entitlement disturbs or hits boys in another way. They come to not really know how to account. They don't take responsibility for anything they've done, which is quite out of the ordinary. It's not right. That shouldn't be the case. But either way, here we are. So for all of us out there, all the young men, please, even if you should start now to account. You should start to take responsibility for your shit. You can't. Life is not that easy. You must account. You either way. I mean, you must take responsibility of your actions. So this quality or breed of men that we have today, if you imagine that they are the leaders of tomorrow, they are the parents of tomorrow, it's very, very disheartening. Our second point in this topic is about dating. You see, most of millennials have had a very big challenge in dating. Most of us cannot just approach a lady the conventional way, old school, where you just approach a lady politely, talk to her for the first time. Maybe you're meeting her or you've met her before, but you've never talked to her. No, you're talking to her for the first time and get to win her over. Most of us believe now that alcohol or drugs is the best way. You see, we can't approach these ladies when we are sober. Now we hide because we don't want to take responsibility. Now we hide behind alcohol and drugs. That is the only easy way for us to approach ladies and not to account for any mess that we make during all this process. Because most of us, if we want to get laid now, we must make sure that the ladies, or we make the lady drunk, and then that is when we get to get laid. If we just approach her the old-fashioned way, we'll end up not really getting what we are after. So this is because most men today do not want to take responsibility for anything. Because of how we were brought up, the kind of entitlement, we always had things easy. Nothing good comes for free. Nothing good ever comes for free. I remember a quote by somebody that even 6 packs would not be worthy, they would not be good if it just came easy. So if you look at life generally, nothing good, even making money, doesn't come easy. You really have to work hard. That applies to dating too. So because these millennials, Gen Z, who are used to having their way, their mothers that just gave them things, men were not at home to kind of still some sense of responsibility to them. Now they've resorted to other ways, let me say, other ways of making sure that they have their way. None of us do our things old-fashioned ways. We just focus on shortcuts, and this also applies to, well, so guys, I've really had a tough time shooting this video. Why? Number one, my camera person. My camera person has messed me up. At one point I thought I gave out my points all through the video for about 5 minutes, only to realize that she was shooting nothing. She was shooting nothing. Now, at least for you guys to show some appreciation, just give me a thumbs up, just subscribe, and just leave a comment out there. And don't forget to click notification bell so that you get notified anytime. Well, on to my third point. Did you know that most people who are incarcerated, people who are involved in crime, most of them are people who are brought up by single mothers? The big question is why. So this happens about because of the soft discipline that they are accorded by their moms. I mean the people who are born out of wedlock, and people who are maybe whose parents divorced when they are still young, and now had to be brought up by their mothers. So most of them resort to crime because they don't understand any other language except having their own way. It's always either their way or the highway. So what do I mean? Because they were used to having their way, their mothers were giving them everything. And anytime that they cried for something, their mothers really went out of their way to try and at least meet it. You see, sometimes you must tell a kid, you must tell your child that no, and he must be aware that no means a no. You can't tell them no, or you can't discipline them, and then you go back again, or you renege on your stand, and then you apologize to the kid. he'll definitely know that whatever he did was right. That is why you canned him, or you disciplined him, and now you're apologizing again. Once you've disciplined your child, you're disciplining him because whatever he did was wrong. Now, for the point to get to him, it's like the Pavlov law. This is what we were taught in biology back in high school. You remember, it was about the dog, where if Mkebe was, well, if the dog had, if you're used to giving your dog food by doing something, now he relates that to food. So anytime somebody knocks that particular thing, the dog will automatically start salivating. That is pretty much it. So single mothers, when you renege on your stand, your child translate it to him being right on whatever he did. If he disrespected you, he'll disrespect you next time. If he did something wrong and you disciplined him on it and then you apologize, he will repeat the same thing again. Why? You just showed him so. You just showed him so. So most of them, these boys or these men, most of them are the ones who end up in crime because of the entitlement with which they were brought up. They never knew, or they are not used to their parents telling them no. A no has always meant maybe a yes to the mother. They apologize to the kid, and if any of the uncles, any of the brothers maybe touch this kid or try to drill him in some way or try to discipline him in some way, the mother always intervenes. So that entitlement is what pushes them towards crime. It's a crime meted on women, it's a crime meted on the society at large, and it's a crime meted on themselves too. What do I mean by on themselves? This is where if you deny him something, or if you refuse him something, he threatens, or he goes right out and commits suicide. Well, kindly subscribe. If you're a frequent viewer, just leave me one of these.